Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to the Temple for Shabbat morning services. It's so great to see you all here and to have you join us on YouTube and Facebook Live. Our services are led this morning on Yom HaSus, on the big day in Louisville, on Derby Day, from Mishkan Tefillah for Shabbat, the prayer book of Reformed Judaism. If you have a copy, you're welcome to join in and follow along. If you don't and you'd like to follow along, you can find a copy of our prayer book, a digital copy, in the YouTube description on our channel. We welcome you here with words of welcome. Hinei ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet amim gam yachad. How good it is and how wondrous when a community can gather as one. Special prayer for our nation. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and in spirit. And let us say together, Amen.
Amen.
We turn to page 74 for the singing of Matov. Continue on page 77 with a prayer for the wisdom of our bodies. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you've made our bodies, combining veins and arteries and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware, we would lack enough strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and our strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofei chol basar u'mafli la'asot. We rise now on page 108 for our call to worship, the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Adonai, Mevorach, Le'olam, Le'olam Vahed. Praised be the one to whom our praise is due. Praised be the one to whom our praise is due. Praised be the one to whom our praise is due. Now and forever.
Page 111. You are praised who rolls out the rough, raw clay of the universe into delicate vessels of light. And from nothing at all, we could perceive in a world that had turned old, a shimmering new creation right before our eyes, made this moment just for us. How much of life reveals your presence? How much Torah unfolds from each new flower, from each new wave that breaks upon the sea? You are praised who forms the clay that cloaks our lives, the delicate vessels which contain our light. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMe'orot. We turn to the Shema, which can be found on page 114.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Please be seated. Join me together on page 116 in the Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha u'chol nafshecha u'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavcha hayom, al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam. V'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, uvshochbecha uvkumecha. Ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotofot beinenecha. Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. Lama'an tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai. V'yitem kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And these words your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise. Bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be a symbol between your eyes. Write them on the doorposts of your house, and upon your gates, and upon your gates. Teach them faithfully unto your children. Speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise, and when you rise.
Page 117. A prayer inspired by Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. When justice burns within us like a flaming fire, when love evokes willing sacrifice from us, when, to the last full measure of selfless devotion, we demonstrate our belief in the ultimate triumph of truth and righteousness, then your goodness enters our lives, and we can begin to change the world. And then you live in our hearts, and we, through righteousness, behold your presence. We continue with the Mi Chamocha, our Song of the Sea, page 122.
מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, אוסף אלה. יאללה לי 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 לי, יאללה לי לי לי, יאללה לי 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 לי, יאללה לי 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 לי, יאללה לי לי לי, יאללה לי 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 לי.
And what is my lifespan? I'm like a man gone out of Egypt. The Red Sea parts. I cross on dry land. 2 walls of water on my right and on my left. Pharaoh's army and his horsemen behind me. Before me, the desert, perhaps the promised land too. That is my lifespan. We rise for the Tefillah, page 124.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevii Geula Lifnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'Ezrat Sarah. We continue responsively at the top of page 127. Our fathers and mothers prayed,
each through their own experience of God, each through their own visions, which we have come to share. Abraham, with the fervor of justice, pleaded the cause of cities. Sarah, in the pain of waiting, dared to hope for new life. Isaac, meditating alone in the field, lifted his eyes to find love. Rebekah asked for the ability to discern God's call. Jacob climbed the rungs of his night into heaven, seeking destiny. Leah dreamed of love, and Rachel sought harmony. We, as they, seek God's presence. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. You are forever mighty, Adonai. You give life to all. You rain dew upon us. You sustain life through love, giving life to all. Through great compassion, supporting the fallen, healing the sick, freeing the captive, keeping faith with those who sleep in the dust. Who is like you, source of mighty acts? Who resembles you, a sovereign who takes and gives life, causing deliverance to spring up and faithfully giving life to all? Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך על הארץ, כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו, מה אדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכינו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהים, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. בשבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
To all generations, we will declare your greatness, and for all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. Please join us in Yismechu, page 132.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת.
מקדשי שבי שבת,
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת
והשביל רצית בו וקידש בו שבת חינוך ימים אותו קראת
שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת זכר למעשה וראשית שבת זכר למעשה וראשית שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת.
We turn now to our prayer for peace, which can be found on page 141. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul. May the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvorech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom.
Sim shalom ועל כל ישראל. עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עמך שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה.
Please take now a moment for silent prayer. Continue on page 253. In the middle of the page, you'll find the words to the Misha Berach, our prayer for hope, our prayer for healing, which we say on behalf of members of our congregation, our family, and our friends who are in hospitals or nursing homes, recovering from illness, being cared for in their pain. May our prayers, our thoughts, and our hopes for them help to give them strength and bring about a world of healing for them and for us all. Please join us in these words of Misha Berach on page 253.
Of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mekor habracha la'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit. And let us say, Amen.
We turn now to Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the service for the reading of the Torah, which can be found on page 244.
מלכות כל עמים וממשלת
rise with me as we recite the Shema on page 248. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Our God is one, Adonai is great, holy is God's name.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Lecha Adonai Hagidula, Hagidula, Hadivirit, Hanitza, Hahod. Ki kol bashamayim uvaretz, ki kol bashamayim uvaretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha, v'yamikasi lichol lirosh.
Please be seated and turn to page 250 for the blessing before the reading of the Torah.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam vahed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
This week's portion is called Emor. We're in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 22. It's a relatively famous passage. I'll be reading just this famous verse. Uvkutrachem et katsir artzchem lo techale, pa'at sadcha bikutzrecha, veleket katsircha lo tilaked, la'ani velager ta'azov otam, ani Adonai Elohechem. And when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap all the way to the edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am Adonai your God. Let me tell you a story about tzedakah. Tzedakah, which means justice and not charity. Tzedakah, which means just doing what is right. So there's this young couple in their 20s, and they were struggling. Literally struggling to keep the lights on, struggling to keep food on the table and gas in the car. One day, the wife comes home from work, glowing. She says, "Honey, I have wonderful news. I just got a $1,000 bonus. Which tzedakah should we give our $100? "Are you out of your mind?" her husband responded. "We're in no position to give tzedakah. One day, yes, but right now we need every penny." "Let's try again," she answered back. "Honey, I have wonderful news. I just got a $900 bonus." Decades later, and far better off financially, they still laugh about this story, and they remember the time when they learned what tzedakah really meant in their lives. With the passage of the American Rescue Plan last month, Congress passed a single bill that lifted 12 million Americans out of poverty, cutting child poverty in America by half. That's 5 million children lifted out of poverty. When I heard the news, I thought of this verse from the Torah, and I was literally moved to tears, because now this means there are 5 million American children still living in poverty. The life of our ancestors in the days of the Bible was a real struggle to survive. They endured famine and plague, the devastations of war, their fears that they would literally be the last generation of our people. Their lives were short, but they made them great. and together they survived to found a people and a faith that would change the world. They did this with faith in God and by building together a community built upon the commitment that even the poorest among them could find food to eat in the shared harvest of their fields, a matter of justice. And when you reap the harvest of your land, uvkutzrachem et katsir arzchem, you shall not reap all the way to the edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall leave them for the poor and the stranger, for I am Adonai your God. The sages teach us that the true value of tzedakah can be found at the end of two words in this single verse from the Torah. Uvkutzrachem et katsir artzachem. And when you reap the harvest of your fields. The word chem, the word you in this sentence, in the Hebrew, is in the plural sense, by which I mean that God is not talking to each and every member of the children of Israel. God is talking to them all together. A better, more Louisville translation of the Hebrew should read something like, and when you all reap the harvest of your all's fields. Our ancestors understood that they did not own their own fields. God did. All their fields belonged to all of them. And without the blessings of rain and soil and sun and seeds, all of which came to them from God, the land beneath their feet would be barren and desolate. And God's rule included a clear understanding that the corners of their field belonged to the poor, as did the gleanings of their fields, and the fruit which was left on the vines and the trees after the first pass of the harvest. To take them would be to steal from the poor, for it was their property. The poor had their share. It was built into the agricultural economy of their society as a whole. Tzedakah was not a gift from the landed rich to the landless poor. It was justice, plain and simple, nothing less and nothing more. Life was still hard, and there were still poor, but everyone had a stake in their society, and together they were one. The value of tzedakah neither demonizes the rich nor denigrates the poor. It calls only for justice in a land where all can play their part and all will give their share. If we would be one nation in more than name alone, the path towards that oneness begins in the Torah with justice. And that justice begins with the recognition that we are all the children of God, a God who is one. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Please join me, bottom of page 250, for the blessing after the reading of the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael. Al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe, b'yad Moshe. Al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe, b'yad Moshe. B'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael. B'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael.
We turn now to page 283, our concluding service for the Aleinu. Please rise.
Let us adore
the ever-living God, and render praise unto you, who spreads out the heavens and established the earth, whose glory is revealed in the heavens above, and whose greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else.
We continue on page 287. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like a sun, O God, over all the humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
Has been said Adonai will be sovereign over all the earth. On that day Adonai will be one, and God's name will be one, and God's name will be one.
Page 291. There are stars up above, so far away, we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with the people that we've loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. And we live our days. These are the ways that we remember. This week in our congregation, we remember particularly the names of John A. Daniello, Shirley Tanchester Reese, Shelley Nafuzi Lips, Jacqueline Myers Junis, Betty Feidelson, Rita Sloan, Roy Sloan, Esther Keisler, Noreen Sokoler, Kalman Stern, I.A. Rosenbaum, Melvin Gordon, Harry Ofsovitz, Simon Z. Munitz, Malcolm Friedman, Alma Strauss-Glassman, Carolyn Friedberg, Bessie Perlmutter, Morris Balin, Fred Shoetrump, Ginger Lewis, Werla Delano Peppers, William Myers, Aaron Weintraub, Jenny P. Kahn, Fanny Winner, Sidney S. Cohn, Mose Shapira, Jacob Garin, Manuel Simon, Joseph Haskell, Irvin Schwartz, Irvin Grossman, Francis Levine, Leo Kahn, Nathan Spiegel, Sylvia Tostein, Clara Davis. And we remember, along with the whole house of Israel, those whose lives were lost this week in the land of Israel, in Meron, amidst the crush of the crowds on Lag Omer. May their memories shine always in our hearts as we rise for Kaddish, page 294. Yid Kadal v'yid Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Balma Divra Chirutei v'yamlich Malchutei, B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Bagala uvizman Kari v'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach l'olam ulmei ulmaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei d'Kudshah B'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata,
tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemayim v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say together, amen. Our closing song is Oseh Shalom. Please join us. It's the last 3 lines of Kaddish on page 294. Oseh Shalom, Shalom bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen.
Uyaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen.
Oseh Shalom, Shalom bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ve'al kol Yisrael May the one who makes peace in high heavens help us to make peace here on earth. May we be builders of a world of peace, of justice for us all. We ask God's blessing upon all who've gathered here, on all we love and all we share. Yivarechecha, Adonai v'yishmerecha. May the Lord bless you and keep you from harm. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yikuneka. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's face be lifted upon you all and grant you the blessings of peace. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.